Rob Menzies and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be here talking to you about not one but two IK Multimedia products. Main reason I'm making this video is I have just literally purchased the IK Multimedia AXE I. So first thing we're going to be doing is doing an unboxing of this so you can see exactly what's in it. We're then going to be talking to you about the controls on it, what it does, what it means, how this can help you. But more importantly, what we're going to do is compare this next to a product that I've been using for many years, which is again IK Multimedia, but this is the Irig HD2. So we're going to talk to you about what you're able to do with this, what this can do that the other one can't, and vice versa, so you can basically decide which one would be better for you. Now we'll briefly touch also onto the software package, but the software packages you get with this are absolutely huge, so we're not going to cover that one today. We're really going to focus very much more on the hardware and what it can do for you. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so time to do an unboxing of this thing. First of all, let's have a quick box. So obviously it shows you what the product is on the side of the box. You also get to find out a little bit about all of the software packages that come with it, which as I said are huge. We're not going to do those today. Also tells you a little bit more about what it actually can do, so that's really cool. 50 squillion languages on the other side, and then you also get to have a look at what it actually would look like on the side. So you actually get a pretty good view of the ports and what things are before you even open the box, which is quite good really, so you know what you're buying. So let's actually open this then and show you what's inside. So we have not that much actually, so let's just have a quick look see. So we've got this little box. What's inside this little box? I'm guessing that is the connect. Right, okay, so that is the USB connection cable, so that's what we use to plug it into the computer. Next bit that we've got is, what have we got here? Well, this is obviously the main device, isn't it? Let's have a look. Okay, so this is basically it. It feels really chunky, feels really sturdy. It definitely has got a little bit of a plasticky feel to it, but a very sturdy plasticky feel to it. So yeah, that's really cool. We're going to go through all of this. We're going to show you what everything does and talk about the lot. So let me put that one down there. Is there anything else that we actually get in here? Right, okay, so there's the warranty piece. There's also the registration card. I'm not going to turn that registration card open because it gives you my specific code. But there's registration cards. So we have registration cards, packaging, we can throw that one back in there, and then obviously the lead to connect it to the computer, which is going to be an important one as well. So let's put this to one side, and what we'll now do is basically show you this, and we'll go through all of the different things and show you what they do and talk to you about why you might want this, and at the same time compare that to the Irig HD2 and if that has it, and why this one might help you or why the Irig might be better. So let's get into that now. Okay, so now we're literally going to go through, pardon the phrase, knob by knob, and we'll also show you all of the ports and basically go through and show you what everything does. So let's actually start with what you can plug in and what is an input and an output. So I've got to be honest, this one is actually something that I have never really come across before. I've not used it before, but actually this was something I kind of researched quite a bit, because this is basically a mic input, but it's also a guitar input. So the bit that is really cool about this, which this one definitely cannot support, is that if you're basically by yourself and you're looking to make some music, but you want to plug in a bass, you want to plug in a guitar, but also you want to plug in a microphone and sing, this one is the baby for you. So you can basically do that. Other thing that we've got here, really important, is a headphone out, so you're going to be able to hear basically what you're playing, and then there is an amp out as well. Now the really clever bit with this one is when we start getting into the software, something we're really not going to cover today, you can reamp what you've recorded. What does reamp mean? It basically means you record what you have played, you send it back out to a different amplifier, you capture that amplifier, you bring it in, and basically completely change the sound that you've recorded. So very clever stuff, but we're not going to do that one today. What have we also got on the back? So let's have a look here what else you can plug in as well. So first of all, you've got basically a little locking area, so you can plug this one in and lock it so no one can nick it if you're leaving it on the desk. What you also have here is the port. So this is a USB port that plugs into your PC, so that not only plugs into the PC so you can get the sound into your PC, but at the same time that gives this device the power that it needs. You've obviously got a MIDI in and a MIDI out port as well, so you've got those MIDI ports so you're able to connect things to it, in particular if you're looking to do different controls. And then what you also have over here is switch pedals. So there is a pedal 1 and a pedal 2. Now when we get into the software piece, which I'll talk to you about in a little while, that's really handy because you can basically plug in foot switches that will allow you to change the configuration in the software. So it might be turn on a pedal or swap to a different amp or use it for a wah effect or those kind of things. So we'll show you that one a little bit later on. The other piece that we have over here is to assist you if you're not using basically your headphones and you're wanting to basically listen to what it is that you're playing. You've got an output on the left and an output on the right, so you can plug those into studio speakers so you can basically hear exactly what you're playing, which is pretty darn cool. Now let's compare that one to the Irig HD2. What have we got on this one? We basically have here a guitar input, that's it. If you want it to go out to an amp, this isn't for reamping, it's just literally going out to an amp, you got that. You've got the power supply that's coming in, you've got headphones, you can turn up and down the gain and you can turn up and down the volume. You then have a choice whether it is you listening to your guitar or you listening to the effects that comes out of the software. That's it. So very, very different in the controls. Now let's get into this baby and have a look at all of the different controls that we've got on here, and there are quite a lot. So what have we got here? Let's kind of work along the top and go in. So first of all, we've got the input. Now this one's really important. Not only have we got the input, we've also got a nice little digital scale here, so we can basically see the lights flash up as you start playing, and you can then basically turn up or down your gain so that you can basically find out or make sure that you're not clipping being basically is too loud and sound god awful. So you can basically get the levels right, because you don't want it too low because else it sounds really, really thin, your guitars will sound terrible, but at the same time you don't want it too loud. Now one of the things that's really important for me, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to really kind of get this device, is I have actually upgraded my guitar collection. So at the moment I not only have my Ibanez guitar, but I now also have a Cort bass as well, and the bass pickups completely different output to the guitar pickups. So this one's going to be really, really helpful to make sure that I can get that input and that impedance completely correct, so that both of them sound really, really great. What we also have down here is this basically helps you with what kind of pickups that you have. So you have a choice whether they are a passive pickup or an active pickup. Now I don't know if you know, but a passive pickup basically means there's no power supporting it. An active pickup, normally a P90, would normally mean that you have some kind of battery powered pickup in your guitar, and it basically gives it a completely different output and a lot higher output, a lot higher gain. Now I know that mine are basically a passive pickup. You then have a choice on what you would like here, so you've either got a pure tone or a JFET tone, so you can choose which one that you want to have. Basically pure tone is the sound of your pickups, and the JFET tone, it gives it a little bit more spice, let's just call it that way. We then basically have the Z tone, and basically, as you can see here, is sharp or bold. So really that's kind of, is it a bit more trebly, is it a little bit more bassy? It really kind of changes the, again, the impedance of the input of your guitar, so it changes the sound curve and the sound wave, so in essence you get different styles. Now again, really handy depending on different pickups. If you're swapping from one guitar to another guitar, a guitar to a bass, or you've only got single coil pickups but you're really trying to see if you can make them sound a little bit more like humbuckers for example, you can really try and dial this one in and change it so that you can either make it a little bit more trebly or you can make it a little bit more bassy, so it works really, really well. Next thing that we've got, it says a monitor here. Now, I'll be honest, I was thinking that the monitor was going to be more relating to the volume that you would have on those output speakers on the back. That's not the case for this at all, actually. So it's a really clever feature, and it's a lot better than you get on the Irig 2. So with the Irig, what you have is a through or an FX. So you either have a sound that goes completely through and it is just the sound of your guitar, and that's it, it's your pickup sound, or you have the sound that comes out of the software. With this one, you get to choose, and it's not an on-off, it is a dial in. So if you want to blend the output of the software and you want to match that to what your normal pickups sound like, you can choose what you want. Now, I've got to be honest, I pretty much tend to go like that and go, I want all of the sound coming out of the all of the tone, shall we say, coming out of the software. But the really nice bit is you can blend both of them. So if you are really struggling and you're getting latency on your software, so you know you're really struggling because in essence you're playing something and what's coming back in your ears is sounding something completely, well, it's delayed by a period of time, then to be honest with you, that can be really handy, because you can then go to direct and you're not going to get that latency. It's just going to give you what you're playing. So a really cool feature. I'm looking forward to playing with that. Headphone volume, surprise surprise, it's the headphone volume, so obviously you can turn it up, turn it down to make sure you're not blasting your earlobes out. And then you've got a master here as well, so again this helps you with your reamping. This also helps you with the output left and right side for your monitors. So again, this just gives you a complete volume control. Now, a bit that's also really interesting down here at the bottom left hand side, so it also recognizes and picks up what you're plugging in here. So it recognizes if you plugged an instrument in, so that would be your guitar lead. If you've got a mic that is plugged in instead of a guitar lead, it then recognizes you've got the USB plugged in, if you've got a MIDI plugged in, and if your MIDI out is plugged in as well. What you also have is a 48 volt button, phantom button, which is basically when you're plugging in and using a microphone and your microphone needs a bit more power, you can basically push that button and it boosts your power for you. So I said, well, I was going to compare these and talk to you about what's the difference and why would you actually want one or the other. Now, there's one really clear difference between the two, and that is what they connect into and what software you can use. If you're using this one, you're basically using this with some kind of PC or iMac or something like that. You are not using it with your phone. The Irig you can actually use with your phone, and you get two leads that come with it, one that plugs into a computer, one that plugs into a phone. You can't do that with this one. So if you're looking for something really mobile, probably the Irig's the one that you want to basically go for. However, where this one really starts coming in, and where I really wanted to do it, is when you start actually picking up and using different guitars, trying to get different sounds, different effects, different pickups, with a different power output from those different pickups. Now again, I was talking earlier around the fact that I have a bass, I have a guitar. What I've been noticing is as I've go into my guitar, I've actually changed all my pickups on my guitar, as many of you know if you follow my channel. And actually one of the things that's been a bit of a problem is as you move from one pickup to a different pickup, the output and the tonal characteristics of that pickup are different. And therefore this lovely little knob here is allowing me to basically dial in exactly what I need, as well as making sure that the input is right. So guess what, a single coil pickup is generally going to have a lower output than a humbucker or a P90, which would obviously be an active pickup, but you get to dial this in. Now on the Irig, all you really get is a gain, so it's basically volume up, volume down, which is kind of a bit like this one. You really don't get that one, and it makes a massive difference when you're really trying to dial in the tonal characteristics of basically your guitar or your bass, and you're wanting it to sound really great and not sound thin in the software. By being able to really dial this in and also play with your Pure and JFED on here as well, it really makes a difference to the sound of your guitar. So if you're really trying to dial in the sound, you're really trying to get to a stage where you're recording different instruments, different pickups, you're trying to get the setup right, and maybe also you're looking to start singing as well, then you really need to go for this one. If you're looking to do any singing, forget the Irig, it's not going to help you. And if you've got those multiple pickups, multiple guitars where you're really trying to make sure you dial in the sound, again, the Irig's not for you. If you need something really quick and you want something you can quickly plug in, and in particular if you want to play it on the move with basically a tablet or an iPhone or something of that nature, then this one is absolutely the one for you. So it depends which one you want. Now, both of these feed into the same software, so this really is built on Amplitube, and Amplitube, amazing bit of software, tons and tons of tones in it. I've actually bought the Amplitube Max software, so I've actually upgraded to make sure I've got all of the tones in there. Amplitube, you basically have all of the tones, all of the sounds that you can dial in with it, which is absolutely amazing. But at the same time, what you can also do is record with it as well, and it gives you 8 different track elements that you're able to record. You're able to muck around with the panning of left right, you're able to muck around with the tones, the sounds, the volumes, and mix everything all in, and just absolutely fantastic, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to go into that today. As I said, it's a huge piece of software. We could spend hours talking about the software. What I do want to do is talk to you about a little bit of software that comes with this particular product, which allows you just to get the levels right and deal with what you need for basically using it in the right way. So let's talk to you a little bit more about the AXE I control panel, which is the screen you're basically looking at the moment on my laptop. So first of all, it tells you the hardware, confirms what it is. It tells you if the lights were on, you would have a MIDI in, MIDI out. You've then got the configuration, and it automatically drops in the sample rate and the buffer rate for you, and you can obviously play with that as well should you want to sort out any of the latency. Now, this is also telling you got an option to amp out, so this is your input 1, so this is basically going to be everything that comes in through that front port, and then gives you a level that's also coming up as well, so you can see if it's clipping, and then if it is clipping, you'll also see it on here, and you can then muck around with that input gain as well. So that one's really handy. What you've then also got is the output. So you have an output 1 and 2 and an amp out. So what does an output 1 and 2 and amp out? So output 1 and 2 is either going to be a headphone socket, or it is going to be your 2 outputs that you have on the back. So this one's handy as well, because not only can you muck around with the input to make sure it sounds great, but you can also slide and deal with the output as well, which is really great. So you make sure you're not clipping on the input and you're not clipping on the output. Now that might seem a bit weird, because if you're not clipping on the input, how could you possibly clip on the output? But trust me, very easy to do, because actually what you're doing is you're going into Amplitube. In Amplitube you might have different layers. Remember me saying that you're going to be recording things, and you might be recording 3, 4, 5 different layers of guitars and bass. Well, that can be a problem. When it starts mixing all together, the volume can really push it and it might start clipping. So you can actually dial this down to make sure that it's not a problem, basically. You've obviously got a mute button at the bottom, so if you want to mute it very easily, just so that you want it to be quiet for you for 5 minutes, you can do that. And then also you've got the amp out. Now again, you'll remember when I was saying about the amp out, which is your third output, that is your amp out. So this is where you've recorded something, you basically have taken your raw guitar tones, you want those tones to come back out again, so that you're going to feed it into an amplifier, and then you're going to record that again for something new. That really starts getting quite interesting, actually, because what you end up doing is you go and record it in Amplitube. So you've used this to record it, you then unplug your input, you use the amp out to lead out to an amplifier, you then play what you've recorded out through the amp out into an amplifier, you mic the amplifier, and then the amplifier comes back in as your input again for you to re-record it. I mean, it's pretty bloody clever if you ask me. But anyway, I'm not trying to do that one today, but you can do it with this. That's kind of the point. So again, you can make sure it's not clipping, it's not too loud for your output, and basically you've got several controls there. Now the other bit that is really cool is this is the interface at the top. What we can also do here is I'm swapping this over to the controller view as well. So we've basically got the MIDI channel that is over here, and then you've got 2 external control switches. So again, when we look at this one, I was saying to you before that you basically have pedal 1 and pedal 2. So this one is the controller for pedal 1 and pedal 2. And then it then gives you a choice on what you would actually like to have. So you do get a drop down option. I haven't got it plugged in at the moment, it's not giving me that option. So you either can choose a foot switch, which is a 1 switch, a foot switch, which is a 2 switch, or you can do as you've got on screen, which is basically a bit like a wah pedal or a volume pedal, where you can basically play with that and set it. And all of the controls that come with that you can all see in here, and you can set it up so that it basically works perfectly with Amplitude, which is really great, because basically by buying a foot switch, which is just a MIDI foot switch or a basic foot switch that plugs in, then what you're actually able to do is use this as if it is a foot pedal. So if you're wanting to play along live with Amplitude and you're using the tone of Amplitude and it's really great, and you're in the middle of the song and you want to change to an effect, you can basically just push the foot switch, and through setting it up in here, it will change whatever foot or whatever you want it to do in Amplitude. So it might be that you're going to turn the volume up and volume down, it might be that you're turning on an effect or turning off an effect, and you can control it in here before we even get anywhere near to Amplitude to make sure it's absolutely right. So I hope that really helped. So in conclusion then, which one's going to be the right one for you? Either the AXE I or the Irig HD2. Basically, your choice is down to you more interested in tone, are you more interested in being able to sing and plug in a mic, are you more interested in being able to re-record and reamp your different tunes that you're recording, or are you looking for something completely mobile that you can basically use on your phone, on your tablet, completely on the go, or at the same time you're just basically wanting to do a basic recording, you're getting started. Now obviously there's a price difference between these two, and I would say roughly this one is about half the price of this one ish, roughly, but obviously go and have a look through all great retailers. But yeah, long and the short of it, if you're looking for a guitar, a bass, a mic, this is the one to go. If you're looking for something that you can also plug in and have monitors, so main speakers that are in a recording room for you, so you can really understand and hear that sound as you're playing it. If you're looking at any kind of reamping, if you want to have foot switches, if you want to be able to basically use this as a complete recording tool, this one is the way to go. If you're looking for something basic that works, that records a basic tone, and you can do it mobile, this one works. Which one do you need? You decide. Hope you enjoy. See you again in the next video very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please remember to not only like the video but also hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos like this in the future. Thanks again for watching, and see you again soon.